How's it going, everybody? Bryan, Alvarez, and Dave Meltzer here. Wrestling Observer Radio, March 4, 2018. Figure4online.com/WrestlingObserver.com. Lots of news to get into here today. Pro wrestling, mixed martial arts. And we're going to start with Rey Mysterio, since a lot of talk about him over the last couple of weeks. But he may have been injured tonight. He was injured tonight. We just don't know the severity yet.
No, it was last night in it would have been last night in Waterbury, Connecticut. He was wrestling. It was a tag team match. Rey and Flip Gordon against Joey Mercury and Caleb Conley. And during the match, he said he thought he tore his left biceps, and he communicated that to Joey Mercury, who was ready to do an impromptu finish, but he set up double 619 frog splash. So he did the finish that he was that was the plan. Finished the match, and the only thing I heard is that the arm looked really bruised, and it did look like it was a torn muscle, but we don't have any confirmation yet. I probably should tomorrow at some point what the injury actually was. But, a torn biceps, depending on what he wants to do, there's a lot of options. I mean, you could not get surgery, and even then I would say guys have worked with torn biceps. I mean, you could do it's not out of the question that he's going to wouldn't do the Long Beach show, or potentially if there's a deal for WrestleMania, which more likely than not there wouldn't be. But I mean, it's possible there would, because usually when WWE signs people at this point, they usually start them after WrestleMania. But there's, there is always the possibility of the surprise thing or something. But it doesn't preclude it. But if he's going to get surgery, it would in fact preclude it. Then he wouldn't be around for at least 6 months. So I don't know what decision he's going to make. The fact that he's not under contract, WWE in these situations usually wants the talent to get the surgery. I know they've done that with other people where they've diagnosed guys with torn biceps, even though they've been working with them, or injuries like that, and they won't sign them. Of course, Ray's different from like an unknown person, or somebody from developmental, somebody from the independent scene or something like that. So the rules aren't necessarily going to be the same. But everything's kind of up in the air. He had missed the 5-star show the night before, and I guess the 5-star thing looks like it's imploding. They had bad weather. They canceled the show. This coming Thursday's been canceled, claiming bad weather, even though the weather isn't even, it was in Aberdeen, Scotland, and the weather wasn't even supposed to be all that bad in Aberdeen, Scotland by the middle of the week. It's apparently still pretty bad now, but their reasoning is that a lot of guys couldn't get to Belfast where they had their show on Thursday, and then the idea that if the road conditions or travel conditions make it hard for guys to get in, it isn't good. But it's just a lot. There's just a lot of things going on. Johnny Mundo's was going to have to be out anyway because of Lucha Underground for the next several weeks, because he would be he would be working. He would be needed for Lucha Underground, and they buried Jack Swagger, who was their champion, on the air, leading you to believe that he's done, and he wasn't there. And Rey, there was a legit reason Rey wasn't there. As far as a family emergency. But with next week canceled, it's all kinds of issues there. So I don't know. When they started that undertaking in big arenas every week, and with no tickets sold, it just seemed like live TV and everything like that. It seemed kind of out of control. Like it didn't seem like it was going to work. Didn't work. So there you go.
What's the latest on Roman Reigns?
Yeah, so no video yet, but the story on that, Johnny Bravo said, the last thing that he said is that they're going to reveal all 15 names of the past and present WWE guys, including the one guy who purchased $140,000 worth of stuff, who he did say was not a guy on the current roster.
He said it was a WWE Hall of Famer.
Did he say Hall of Famer?
I believe he said he was a WWE Hall of Famer.
Okay, but that's interesting. That it doesn't limit it, but so who? We should get a list of the Hall of Fame. I don't want
God, there's a ton of them.
Yeah, but you could eliminate a whole bunch of. I mean, how many guys in the WWE Hall of Fame spend $140,000 on PEDs? I mean, that's a pretty small number. Probably it's only one of them. So, just a question of which one it is. But again, for to be on that, the thing is when you're looking at the person who spent like $140,000, you're talking about a guy who's made a lot of money, or else he wouldn't be able to do that. So it would have to be one of the biggest, it would have to be one of the bigger stars ever. So that becomes real interesting. But yeah, they're going to name all the names and everything and the whole thing. He said he's done all of his investigating. So that thing's coming.
So we're moving on to the names and not, I thought he was going to publicly release like phone records or something proving that Roman Reigns was.
Yeah, that too. All the records.
Well, what are we waiting for? He said it's been weeks now.
No. He said he just finished the investigation like 2 days ago.
Okay. I seem to recall like 2 weeks ago he said he was going to reveal these phone records and such.
When he was done investigating with Roman Reigns, yeah.
I see.
Yeah, he said that. He said they still had to go through all the computer records for everybody to find out, when they started, when they stopped. I mean, he knew Roman Reigns' records. But I don't know. Yeah, it's he said he was done, but until it happens, I guess. But the I don't know if it's legit. And I mean, there's been so much said that I almost think that it's got to be legit to a degree. I mean, as far as the number of guys and everything like that, and I don't know. But yeah, the one name is going to have to be, a fairly. Well, what I think about it. I mean, there are a bunch of different guys who are possibilities.
How much did he claim?
$140,000. First he said $150. First he said 150 to 200, but the last time he used a number, it was he said in excess of $140,000 that they had spent just this one place. So, yeah, I mean, it's not really fair to try to, guess. But if you go through that Hall of Fame list, you could probably eliminate a whole bunch of guys pretty quickly and probably come up with, I would say probably 5 or 6 guys that it would be limited to.
Double checking this right now. He may have said a WWE legend. Well, I could have sworn he said a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I never.
He may have only said a legend.
I did not hear Hall of Famer. Okay, so I mean, what I had heard was
WWE legend could be
I had just heard that it was a former WWE star, not a current WWE star. So yeah, legend is.
I mean, you'd think if they were a former legend, they would be in the WWE version of the Hall of Fame, but maybe not. Well,
yeah, theoretically.
Well, one way or the other, allegedly we'll know soon.
Yeah, allegedly it's coming any day now, I would think. He said that his investigation's done, and it's just a question of getting the interview with Richard Rodriguez and going through everything and filming it and uploading the tape, I guess. So I guess it's coming pretty soon. So what that means, I don't know. It's probably not good for WWE if there's a whole bunch of names all at once, because then you really start asking questions about the. I mean, look, we know the weaknesses of the drug policy, but they have claimed for years that it's the greatest policy in all of sports, and you get a whole bunch of names. That doesn't make it look good. That's for sure.
All right, Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, so Brock was on the show tonight in Chicago, and he worked less than a minute, which was a company directive, but the fans were furious. They booed it, and Lesnar got a giant babyface reaction. Even after that Roman Reigns thing, he got a giant babyface reaction coming out against Kane, and Kane went for the chokes. I mean, I think it's like real quick action. Kane threw a few punches. I think Brock hit 2 German suplexes. Kane got up, tried for the choke slam. Brock blocked it, hit the F5, 1, 2, 3. Like I said, less than a minute, and not a good reaction to that at all. So, as far as a lot of people were real mad at Brock. Is the idea that he's saving his body because he's going back to fighting? Because if you remember when he went back to fighting to the Mark Hunt fight, he had the WrestleMania match with Dean Ambrose where he wouldn't do much of anything really. So if he is going back, he's probably going to do less.
Well, wait, didn't you say this was a company directive?
Oh, the time of the match. Yeah. But it's a company directive. But the point is that, Lesnar, I mean, they knew, I mean, as far as like, it would have been done because it's Lesnar trying to protect himself. And that's.
I'm just wondering why they made that directive.
Because they know.
So they're assisting him in his preparations for a UFC fight, or am I completely confused here?
No, they know that whatever he's going to do or not do. But it was their finish. So
it seems kind of weird. I mean, why you got the guy under contract? I mean, who cares what he's going to do after he leaves? I mean, get your money out of him, right? Well,
what if he's there? Brock drives a hard bargain. I mean, I know from the people in UFC that he makes like when just everything. I mean, even like with New Japan World, they had to take down all of his matches whenever his name is used in anything with UFC, there's always something where he tries to, he's very, very protective of everything. So like, he's not the easiest guy to get along with, and they kind of have to do, I mean, he's got, he'll not do or do whatever he wants essentially. So anyway, that's, yeah, I don't know. People were he's got I think he's only got, does he have 1 or 2 more house shows? I know he's got Madison Square Garden, which would be the 16th, and that would, I think, as far as I know, that's the only match. There might be one more. Maybe I don't remember off the top of my head. I think there may be one more besides the Garden before WrestleMania, but he's only got a couple matches left. So he's supposed to be at TV not this coming Monday, but a week from Monday. Heyman came out and did a promo and addressed nothing about Monday night, which is kind of interesting that they didn't even acknowledge any of it. So there you go. They had a really big crowd, probably one of the biggest house show crowds of the year that they'll have all year, about 13,000 people at the United Center, and almost sold out. And Roman Reigns, John Cena main event with Roman Reigns going over, like he always does. Whenever John Cena works with Roman Reigns always goes over with a spear. So they did the same match that they've been doing at the house shows.
Alrighty, so this is Johnny Bravo's Instagram here, along with the former WWE Legend who placed over 140,000 orders. So that is his exact wording there from his Instagram. Okay. So anyway, he says
does he give a time frame?
He says, I've just completed an exhausting investigation, leaving no stone unturned into the WWE's current and former stars' affiliation with the former WFN and Richard Rodriguez. Report contains evidence of all claims made by Richard Rodriguez, along with new information on the entire case. I've decided to create one longer video that will go into details on not just the Reigns story, but everybody who was involved. As I dove deeper into this case, details I uncovered, the connection between not just Reigns, but all those who will be discussed by Richard. It will be out shortly.
Well, there you go. That's something.
Alrighty. Eddie Edwards.
Well, what do you think?
You know, maybe I'm in the minority here. Like, I'm usually furious about these sorts of things.
I was.
But I don't know. It's like the whole idea behind it was a trick. You put a chair on a guy, the chair's open, you hit the chair, and, you know, it was an accident.
Oh, I know it was an accident, but my God, damn, it was terrible.
It is terrible.
I mean, he got his, you know, he nearly lost his eye. They were scared to death that he lost his eye, but he ended up being okay. He had some broken bones in his face, but it's just, you know, I mean, yes, the idea of what they were trying to do was something that would be done, but man, it's like, it was just, God, it was bad. I mean, and they went right off the air, which I guess is just as well. I mean, the idea of watching him with his, you know, head all busted up probably wouldn't be make for good television, you know, or anything like that. But oh my God, I haven't seen something look that bad in a long, long time. I mean, he was. I mean, it's like I almost think he was lucky that he wasn't hurt.
He was lucky. Worse. He was extremely lucky.
Yeah.
And I mean, something like that should just never be done. You're swinging a real baseball bat. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah, I think
there's so many stupid things that are done in wrestling, and everyone just ends up lucky like 99% of the time. And then, you know, this time the guy didn't end up lucky, and he ended up, you know, he's wrestling at their next event, their next pay-per-view or whatever. So I mean, he's healed and he's back. So I don't know.
The one thing is that so Jim Cornette.
There's a Twitter war going on.
Yeah. Well, okay. Here's the thing. Okay. Jim Cornette basically said that, you know, if he was Eddie Edwards, he would, you know, beat him up or come after him and all that, whatever. Okay. And then Callahan said that, you know, something to the effect of, well, you know, I'm going to make money off of it. And it's like, that was probably not the way to respond, to talk about making money off of that. I mean, I thought that was like, you know, you should just go, like, sometimes when you're attacked by someone like that, like Cornette, I mean, it's like, I don't know about, you know, the over, you know, playing of, you know, I'm going to whatever, but that's Cornette. But you know, you got to pick your spots, and this is not a spot to be trying to get over on Cornette on. You know, I mean, there are spots and there are guys who can do that, and that's fine. But this was just not the place you do that. I mean, this is one where you just go, man, you just go like, it was an accident, I'm sorry. You don't go like, oh, you know, now I'm going to make a lot of money off of this. Because or whatever. I think he was trying to. I think I can't speak for him. My gut is that the idea is that if Cornette doesn't like it, it must mean that I'm going to make a lot of money, type of a thing. You know, with the idea that like he's out of touch, or maybe it's, oh, now that you're doing all this publicity, I'm going to make a lot of money. Whatever it is, you probably shouldn't be talking about money the day after that thing airs. You know, I mean, it's just not the thing to talk about. So. Anyway, that's the situation there. But yeah, I
think the smart idea is let's not be swinging real baseball bats.
Yeah, that's probably part of it. Or if you're doing it, you know, do it like Triple H with a sledgehammer, where, you know, you're never doing it in a way where it could possibly be dangerous. You know, I mean, it's like he uses that thing, but I mean, it's never. Well, I don't know. You know, like, well, for one thing, it's not a real sledgehammer, but if somebody moves their head in the wrong direction, you know, that's not the safest thing either. I don't know. I think that things like that, like, I mean, I guess, you know, using work baseball bat shots to the gut and things like that. I mean, I don't really like baseball bat shots or sledgehammer shots. I think that it's I don't want to say exposes the business, but I think it's just goofy because it just kills disbelief, because the reality is if you're using that thing as a weapon, it's just too dangerous, and everyone knows that you're not, you know, it's like when you do it and you're swinging it, the fantasy ends because you're just going like, well, he can't really hit him with this. Like if you take a chair, you can go like, well, he can hit him with the chair. You know, you can scream on that, or you have foreign object, or you have, you know, a table, you know, you pick up or pick up the stairs, you know, or a garbage can, you know, you can hit the guy with it. But once you got like it's I just think, I don't know, the sledgehammer's over, so I guess it is what it is. But I've always hated it. But baseball, I never liked baseball bats either for that same very reason. But baseball bats are part of the thing. I mean, barbed wire bats and spiked bats and all that are part of modern wrestling, unfortunately. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of stupid in my mind, though.
Tammy Sytch.
She's in jail right now, or unless she got bailed out in the last couple of hours. I guess she had 2 DUIs. I think one in late January and one in February, and she was taken in on Tuesday. So the news actually just got out last night. But yeah, so she's you know, essentially it's a probation violation. There's a lot of charges against her. So it's kind of too bad. I always like hope that, you know, you always hope that people like her or whatever, Scott Hall, Jake Roberts, you know, it's like there's always the relapses. You kind of know there will be, but it's still sad when it happens, you know. But I don't know what to say. I don't know what else to say about it. I mean, it's like there's just been time after time after time, and she has a problem, obviously. You know, when you get that many warnings and you're on probation and you're driving, you know, you have 2 of them, and she had an accident as well. She had an accident as well. So I'll tell you what. I mean, I don't have sympathy for people who drive drunk, because it's selfish, and it's just terrible, because bad things can happen and have happened all the time. And I just hate when people do that. I mean, so I can't feel sorry for people who make terrible decisions like that over and over and over and over again. You know, you kind of hope that they'll wisen up and all that. But, you know, alcohol's a terrible addiction. There's no doubt about it. You know, if you let it get to you and you become addicted to it, it's a hard one to break for some people.
You know, going back to that Callahan thing real quick, I think one of the reasons that I remember I was doing a match with the Richie Magnet once, and I was supposed to drop kick a chair into his head, and I barely touched this chair, and he took a bump, and in falling down, like, he let go of the chair, and the chair fell down right on his, like, face and eye. He got busted open, and he had to go to the hospital, and he's supposed to get a Napa award the next day, and he had to show up, and his head's all bandaged up, and I felt so terrible about it, but it was like a complete and total mistake. And the Callahan thing is stupid, but, like, he wasn't aiming for the guy's head. You know, he wasn't trying to hit his head with a baseball bat.
Obviously.
I'm sure the guy felt terrible about it afterwards. I'm sure everybody felt terrible about it. So, I don't know. I just kind of look at it from that perspective. It wasn't the right thing to do the thing with Cornette on Twitter and everything like that. And I'm sure they're going to turn it into a storyline. I mean, that's practically guaranteed.
Well, yeah, but that's okay, because that's pro wrestling. You know, if something bad happens like that, you know, you know, I mean, I don't have any problem at all with them turning that into a storyline, because that's what pro wrestling is. You know, it's like, if it's something, you know, if it's something legitimate, it makes for a better story than something, you know, contrived and not, you know, and you know, just something that people don't believe in. So, yeah, I mean, that's just, but I mean, I don't know how. I mean, I guess you could just do another match. They had a really good match too before that. This was not in a match. This was right after the match ended.
Yeah, the main event was a great main event.
Yeah, it was a really good match.
So, Ring of Honor, the show they did, I guess it would be tonight, Saturday night.
I didn't see it.
Yep.
I was watching UFC, but also, so the Honor Club thing, I actually did sign up, and it was a disaster. That's all I can say. I mean, I know other people have had problems. I sent in a couple of times, you know, the help. What do I do? And no one got back to me. Which, if I had like planned, I would actually be really upset if I had planned to watch the show today. You know, but since I didn't, I'm really not. but it's still, you know, I mean, I know a lot of people, I heard other people had the same thing where they sent in help questions and no one got back to them. You know, so hopefully I'll be able to see it later, but I heard the main event was called Ultimate Mayhem, I believe, something like that, Mayhem, and it was kind of like a War Games match, and it was the Young Bucks and Adam Page and Marty Scurll against, it ended up being the Kingdom and Shane Taylor. The Kingdom sub for Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, and Scorpio Sky, who had, they were coming in from Los Angeles, and I don't know exactly what happened, but there were transportation issues where they couldn't get to New York in time, so the Kingdom had to sub. But I heard that it was a hell of a match with all kinds of crazy moves. Just, you know, on the front page, they actually just go through that match, you know, with all the 450s through tables and all the other stuff that the Young Bucks did and everyone. So that was pretty good. And I heard Dalton Castle. So it was Dalton Castle and Volador against Ultimo Guerrero and Jay Lethal. And I heard that was really good. Overall, the rest of the show I heard was good, but you know, most everything was good, but the last two matches I heard were like the real show stealers. And so yeah, they're that's pretty much it. They had a big show today.
NXT.
You watch NXT?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think that Zelina Vega and Andrade, I love that act. I think she is phenomenal. I mean, everyone says that. I mean, it's not like some great revelation, but she's great. You know, just that whole act. And the video that opened the show, they had a video that opened the show with it was about Johnny Gargano and Andrade's match from last week.
It was so awesome. It
was so good with that close up of Ciampa at the end. It's like that guy. I mean, I already know that like when he comes back, when he came back, he had super heat. But my God, what a piece of work that video was. Where when it was over, it's just like, this guy's such an asshole. I mean, Johnny Gargano and Ciampa are probably going to have, like, I'm presuming their match is going to be a takeover. The only reason it wouldn't be is if Ciampa isn't cleared by then. But when they finally do that feud, oh my God, it's not, I mean, it's not only is the matches going to be great, I mean, which I'm certain of, but the heat is just going to be ridiculous. I mean, this angle, you know, it was so it's so funny because it's like this one was, I mean, they were going to do Gargano and Ciampa either way. Okay, that was always going to happen. But you know, I don't think that Gargano and Andrade was the program. I think that, you know, it wasn't, because it was going to be Lars Sullivan. And then Lars Sullivan missed the TVs for a couple weeks, and they threw Gargano in, and Gargano got the, you know, so it ended up with Gargano being put in that position. And, you know, then they delivered the best match in NXT history and probably the best WWE match in freaking years. And it just like led to this, all of a sudden Johnny Gargano is like the most over guy, and then they do this loser leaves thing, which just puts so much heat on Zelina Vega, and she's so good that it's just turned into well,
let me ask you this, because I was wondering this. So, I mean, I don't know if you know or not, but the finish of the original Gargano match with Andrade, I mean, they do the match, Gargano loses, he's leaving, Ciampa shows up, whacks him with the cane, and the show goes off the air, or the crutch.
Yes.
So then they do the loser leaves town match, and he shows up, hits him with the crutch, costs him the match. Mm-hmm. So I'm watching, and I'm thinking, you know what? This would have been better if he hadn't shown up at the end of TakeOver. Like, if that had been the first time that he showed up and he cost the guy the match, like, nobody would have expected it. I think some people expected that, you know, loser leaves town, Ciampa's probably going to show up and do something. Do you think that they brought the guy back and then came up with the idea for the loser leaves town match, and then he came in? You know what I mean? It's like, the way that it was done, it almost seemed like they changed plans or came up with a new idea.
Oh, I don't know, but just the way everything went, because it was a program that was, you know, a change from the original idea. Actually, you know, what was it that? But yeah, I think that I was going to say that it was probably after the first match, or that they probably came up with the idea of the loser leave to go wherever they were going to go, in the sense that probably wasn't planned in advance. Could go either way. I mean, yeah, I think that they wanted to end that takeover with that big angle. Everyone I think people kind of knew that the Ciampa thing was coming at the takeover show, but would it have been better if he hadn't been there at all, and then he debuted and his first appearance was costing him the match here? I think so. I think it would have been better if he didn't do the first one, but I don't know that they had the second one planned when they did the first one. I don't know.
I don't think they did, based on the way that the whole story got told.
No, I don't either. Well, because you got to remember, it was an impromptu story. This wasn't like the direction of Gargano and Ciampa was always going to happen. I mean, that was going to, they were supposed to do that feud months and months ago before he had all those surgeries. They had shot it and they kept and it got delayed, whatever it is, 6-9 months. So that was always planned. But the Almas and Gargano thing was something that they, I think that thing kind of took on a life of its own. I mean, it was a substitution match, and then kind of like it got over so big that you just kind of don't want, you know what I mean? When that match got over so big, it's kind of like, man, it was over so big. We probably should go a little further with it rather than just, whatever. And plus, Ciampa may not be ready just yet anyway for the match. I don't know. I don't know where he stands. But so yeah, that's going to be pretty hot at the takeover show. If in fact it is at the takeover show, and I got to presume it is.
And then the Shayna Baszler Kairi Sane match.
I mean, it's good for what it was. I mean, it was very good.
Shayna's improved a lot.
Shayna improves every time I see her. She's phenomenal. She's a great. She's got great presence, great poise, and whatever for someone who has really very, very limited experience. She's completely overperformed. So I don't know. But she was working with Kairi Sane, who's probably the best woman performer in the whole company at this point, and if not the second best. So that does help a lot. But I mean, as far as like everything, just the way that's funny, because it's like so many times when they bring in like MMA people, they have no idea how to make their MMA stuff work within pro wrestling. They either try to get them to wrestle like pro wrestlers, in which case you lose what makes them special, or they don't book them the right way. But this one, I've got to say that all across from everything, I mean, she's been booked well. Her promos are like, when I watch her promos, it's like, I think like this is what they should be doing. When I watch her reactions, it's like, this is how she should be reacting. It's not like so many of the people where I just go, oh God, this doesn't fit your character. These writers don't know how to write. Whatever it is, the writers know how to write for her, and she knows how to be what she should be. So yeah, she was great. What was the other match that was?
The opener with Velveteen Dream.
Oh, with Tyler Bate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I that was a good match, but it wasn't. I didn't think it was great. But I mean, now that like Velveteen Dream, I think the thing with Velveteen Dream, in the sense is that it really makes me appreciate how good Aleister Black is when I see these other guys in there with him, because his matches with everybody else are not even close to that match. And I mean, the first sequence was pretty cool and everything, and Tyler Bate's a great wrestler, but watching it, I could see how green Patrick Clark is, Velveteen Dream, as far as in the ring. But as a persona and everything like that, I mean, the persona's super over. So yeah, that was a fun hour show. It's a good show.
Let's preview the New Japan Anniversary show on Monday,
Tuesday,
late Monday.
Yeah. So. Well, Will Ospreay and Okada is you know, if they both like break their legs, they're probably still going to have like a 4 1/4 star match anyway. They're probably going to have one of the better matches of the year. I can't imagine them not. So that's the main event, and it's the Minoru Suzuki Togi Makabe match. So so that'll be pretty good. There's a junior tag title match. There's Yoshihashi and Sonata in a singles match. And I'm trying to think what else that they got. The junior is a 3-way. It's Kanemaru and Desperado, and what's the other team? You know, Sho and Yo defending, and oh God, what's the third team? I'm trying to remember who it is. Don't have a lineup in front of me. It'd be here. Let me. That's. Oh, Hiromu and Bushi, of course, yeah. And Naito and Taichi, which, whatever. I mean, it's a big match for Taichi, so there's that. So it's not like, I mean, it's, the anniversary show is not like a major show. Well, it's like a B major show, you know what I mean? Like a B pay-per-view type of thing where, you know, it's not as loaded, but, you know, I don't know, Sonata and Yoshihashi, I mean, they had a series, and the series was good. Naito and Taichi had a really great match on an indie show, which is actually what led to them doing this match here. And then Suzuki Makabe could go either way. You just never know with that kind of match. And, you know, the rest is just, you know, normal New Japan stuff. So, yeah.
All right, UFC 222, the Cyborg main event went...
Real quick, before we do that, I want to talk about... So I just happened to be talking to somebody in UFC the other day, and one of the things... So we were talking about the Jon Jones thing, and the person told me that they still expect Jon to fight before the end of 2018. And I don't understand how that's even humanly possible, but I just wanted to bring that up because it's just like, after that thing on Tuesday, I mean, realistically, I don't see any way that you can justify less than a 4-year suspension. Now, I think that they probably won't suspend him for 4 years because he's Jon Jones, but it's how do you do? I just can't see you could do less than 3, and it really should be 4. I mean, that's. I mean, I can't come up with like an explanation how it couldn't be 4. So anyway, just wanted to throw that out, that they're not like in this with this idea that, oh yeah, it's going to be 4 years for whatever reason. But I think it's a black eye if it's anything less, because the one thing you don't want is you don't want the drug program to have people think that you give preferential treatment to stars, and you know, that would be preferential treatment if he's gets anything under 3 years. So
Cyborg and Yana Kunitskaya was the main event of this show, and everybody knows the finish. Cyborg knocked her out. The notable thing here is that Kunitskaya actually did okay for about 2 minutes. She took her down with a low single, jumped on her back, kind of held her back for a while, but then Cyborg got out, hit a knee, hard right, hard left, avoid another single, huge right, finished it off on the ground. 3:25 of the first round. There you go. No surprise.
No surprise. But there's a lot of surprises on the card. It was, I mean, it was an interesting show as far as, you know, Brian Ortega, you know, he's a legit star. I don't know if he's a legit money star, but he's a legit star. You know, he beat Frankie Edgar. I mean, it's one of those things, like, I think, like, of all the possibilities of how that match was going to go, the one thing I didn't see coming is Frankie Edgar getting knocked out, because Frankie Edgar has never submitted and he's never been knocked out in his entire career. This is a freaking durable guy, and he's been in some freaking wars. But you know, that it was a hell of an elbow that nailed him. I mean, you could say perhaps it was just the shot, or perhaps he's just getting, you know, older, and that's what happens when you get older. And I think it was kind of sad, but everyone gets older, and to see him go down, I mean, he's really like, you know, I mean, he's you know, I mean, like if he had been submitted, wouldn't have shocked me. I wasn't expecting it. I was actually expecting him to win. And Bryan Ortega, like, he's losing the entire fight, and then he just nails the guy with an elbow to the head. And Frankie was pretty much toast at that point. I mean, it was actually an uppercut later that put him out, but he rocked him. The elbow started the ball rolling, and Bryan Ortega is going to be fighting Max Holloway. Max Holloway said he wants it in July. His leg is apparently doing better. He wants the fight in July, and whether it's in July or not, I don't know, but it's probably coming pretty soon. You know, this next whatever. So, I've never seen a guy who in every single fight is losing the fight until he, you know, usually he's losing the fight until he gets a submission. And he's lost to like guys who are a lot lower on the totem pole than Frankie Edgar, or losing to those guys, but where he comes back to beat him at the end. So I was actually expecting Frankie Edgar to win. I just thought it was a higher class of competition, and, you know, but age has to do with it. And, you know, I mean, he's got something. I just don't know how long you can always, you know, before the fact that you're losing every fight, before somebody catches up to you on this one. And Holloway may be that guy. I don't know that he's got the, you know, even though he got the knockout, I don't know that he's got the stand-up against Holloway. Holloway's a fantastic fighter. So a lot more better all around. You know, Ortega does have the submission skill, better than most, but yeah, I think that, you know, but it's a great fight. I don't, you know, I think everybody kind of watching this and seeing how well he did with Edgar, finishing Edgar and everything. So it's like it's the right fight to make, and it's an interesting fight, and it's two younger guys, so that's all good.
Uppercut here. 16 seconds left in the round. I swear to God, Frankie Edgar left the ground taking this uppercut. Yeah, if you watch this, he hit him so hard with his uppercut that Frankie Edgar was lifted off of the earth, and then he fell down and was knocked out. So,
by the way, before we go any further, I do want to make mention of Bruce Connell passing away the other night. I think it was on Thursday, and they did, after the at the beginning of the show, Joe Rogan did a voiceover, and they opened the show, and Joe Rogan was almost in tears. He had to be consoled. And then after the main event ended, they actually went for several minutes, Daniel Cormier, Joe Rogan, and John Anik, going on and on about Bruce Connell, who was the producer. He's been the producer of the show since 1998, and he was 61 years old, and he dropped dead. And he was very, very well liked. And they were just talking. Cormier talked about how, you know, when he first started, you know, he's nervous, he doesn't know what he's doing, and Bruce Connell like walked him through. He's the guy who's in their headset, and they were just talking about how like they had to do this broadcast, and the guy's not in their headset, and he's not going to count him down. And Rogan again, I mean, there was that, you know, the beginning of the show and the end was pretty much in tears. They were all in rough shape. And the night before, when Mike Goldberg, you know, who obviously had worked with him from 1998 until 2017 or 2016, whatever. I think it was, when did Goldberg finish up? 2017?
I think it was last year, yeah.
Yeah. So he worked with him for almost 20 years. So Goldberg was, he was pretty choked up when he talked about it on the Bellator show on Friday night as well. So that's a big loss. You know, this guy's always around and everything like that. One of the
I believe they said UFC 17 he started.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, who's always around. That's all I know. I mean, just a name that you hear, you know, when they do the credits, but he was like a key guy. He would count. He would do. They actually played a tape, because every show, before they go on the air, it's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, you're on. Like, you know, that's the thing. So they actually played a tape of Bruce Connell doing the countdown for those guys to start the show, because that's how every single show has started since UFC 17.
So those were the top 2 matches on the show. Third from the top, Sean O'Malley, Andre Sukumtoth.
That was quite the match.
This was the most astonishing match. So Sean O'Malley just, you know, he beats him up the first 2 rounds. Third round, he throws a high kick.
I think, hold on, let me check my notes. I think that I thought that I had Sukumtoth. No, you're right. It was the third round that I gave Sukumtoth. Yes. The first round was 10. The first round was a 10-8 round. I thought that you know, O'Malley nearly finished him in the first round a couple times. But yeah, he was, you know, he was winning the fight, and then
throws his high kick and he breaks his ankle or his foot or something.
Well, they said they X-rayed and there was no break, but he thought. I mean, I'm sure he thought he did, but he couldn't he couldn't stand up.
No, I swear to God, everybody, he's hopping on one leg. He's hopping on one leg because he can't put his other leg on the ground. What does his opponent do? Think about this. Your opponent threw a high kick. They believe they broke their foot. They can't put any weight on it. They're hopping. What do you do with this guy? Well, if you're Andre Sukumtoth, you take him down. His corner's screaming at him. Let the guy to his feet. Let the guy stand up. He can't even stand. Nope. He just stays on the ground, and he loses the fight.
That was a fight from that was an all-time strategic blunder in the sense that there was no way that O'Malley should have been able to survive that round, because when the referee sees a guy like that hopping,
you almost think I thought the referee should have stopped it. Guy's hopping on one leg.
Well, they would but he took him down. He wasn't in danger when he was on the ground.
That's true.
I mean, he wasn't getting beat up that bad. He was getting beat up, but it wasn't, there was no reason for the referee to stop it. But if he had fought him standing, the referee would have had to stop it, because you can't let a guy hobble on, hop up and down on one leg without stopping the fight. I mean, that fight 100% should have been stopped had it been standing. But the guy took him down. The guy who was down, and I mean, like, and the announcers are talking about it too, and his corner is just screaming. It's like, he's down. He's gotten beaten up for the whole fight up to this point. There's essentially he's got the fight won. If he just does nothing, if he just kind of dances around and the referee sees that the guy can't walk, he's going to have to stop the fight. But once you take him down, the fact that he can't walk is immaterial, because they're on the ground. And so O'Malley survived until the end of the fight, and
he's so sure that his leg is broken. He can't even get up. He's on his back. They literally
he was screaming in pain.
Yes, they brought Andre Sukumtoth to the middle of the ring. They announced the winner is Sean O'Malley. He's flat on his back. Joe Rogan goes over the microphone, interviews this man as he is flat on his back. He alerts him, nothing a little medicine can't fix after the fight at my after party.
Oh, yeah, he said he was going to the after party. That I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure if he made the after party or not.
Hopefully you didn't hear that one. And, yeah, this was incredible.
Yeah. O'Malley's a guy who they're really trying to push. I mean, that's why he was so high on this card. And he's got some personality, That's
he's definitely got a personality.
And as far as like how good of a fighter he is,
he was doing great till he broke his foot or whatever he ended up doing.
he's got a flashy style with all the spinning kicks and everything like that. So he's a fun fighter to watch. Got the crazy hair and everything like that. And he feels like a guy who, if he wins some fights, he can be kind of a star. But I don't feel like a superstar, but a star. So. Yeah, it was a good fight. I mean, like it was compelling while he was winning, and it was really compelling after he was hurt, where you're just going like, what, like, let the guy up. He just, like, I don't know, that Andre Sukumtoth is just going to be like, he is going to be regretting this one for a long time, because if O'Malley ends up being a big star, he would have had a win over a big star, and losing a fight that you absolutely should have won. That's in this business, that's going to cause you a lot of mental anguish, I think, going forward. But what was he thinking? It's like
the only possible thing that I can think is that he liked and respected the guy so much that when he saw the guy couldn't walk, he decided he would try to finish it on the ground.
I don't buy that at all.
That is literally the only conceivable reason that he would not let the guy stand up.
I think he just saw it. He didn't think, and he saw it as an easy takedown.
So he's deaf? He didn't hear his corner screaming at him?
Obviously not.
For like 3 straight minutes?
Oh, yeah, but
what do you even have a corner for?
Let him up? I know. I don't understand why he didn't just let him up, because he would have won the fight. That was just crazy.
Andrei Arlovski beat Stefan Struve 29-28, 29-28, 30-27. Kind of a boring fight.
Yeah, Stefan Struve, I don't know, man. It's like it feels like he's like, he moves so well, for a guy his size. He's got a pretty decent skill level, but he just, I don't know. He's such an underachiever. That's all I could say. I mean, he once beat Stipe Miocic. If he used his size and his athletic ability, I mean, you would think that, he would, could be like a real top star, but he lost this fight. He's lost a lot of fights. Doesn't use his size well. Doesn't take advantage of his size at all. And Andrei Arlovski just kept taking him down, which was really good, because I'm sure that when Struve was preparing for this fight, the one thing he didn't prepare for is takedown defense, because Andrei Arlovski never takes anybody down. So Andrei Arlovski went in there. Obviously, his battle plan was to do a lot of takedowns. Struve had not worked on the takedown defense, I'm guessing. Whatever it was, Arlovski got him down a lot, and won the decision. I don't know. I don't know what you do with Struve. I don't know what you do with Arlovski either, but it gives him another fight.
We had Caitlin Vieira and Kat Zingano. Good fight, split decision.
I don't know how.
Sure how, actually. It's impossible.
Oh my God. But the judge that had
he had to be confused about who was who.
I don't think so, because the thing is, he had the round that Kat Zingano won, he had right. So it was just like it was just a bad scorecard. That's all.
Traded early.
There were several bad scorecards on this show, but in fairness, I'd rather have one judge with bad scorecards than the wrong person win, and we did not have the situations where at least the right person won the fight.
Vera took her down, dominated from the top, entire first round. I guess that judge thought that Kat Zingano won that round, because certainly wasn't the second round.
Yep, he did. I don't know how.
Yep, Vera took her down immediately in the second, mounted her, pounded on her. Zingano tried some submissions to the bottom, had nothing. On her back the entire round. So, judge thankfully did not score that round for Zingano. Did come back in the third and was landing shots, but then she got a left kick checked and it hurt her. She was limping around, got taken down. Did make a comeback with 2 minutes left, laid in a beating. Vera was looking at the clock, just trying to hold on into a clinch for about a minute, but ended up winning the fight, and that's the story. It was good. It was exciting.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting with Vieira, what they do with her next, because Vieira should be getting a shot at Amanda Nunes next. But Dana White said, okay, originally the idea was for Amanda Nunes to fight Raquel Pennington on May 12th in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. But tonight, Dana White kind of gave the impression that he was not so much looking at Raquel Pennington and Nunes, that he wants to do Cyborg and Nunes next, which really does make sense in the sense that I think that's a fight that people will be interested in more. But I guess, what does that mean? That maybe Pennington fights Vieira? I think maybe that's what it means. So I think that's kind of where you go. And the winner of that would fight Nunez, win or lose. Because if Nunez loses to Cyborg, she's still going to be champion at 135.
All right, take us through this undercard.
Okay. Zach Otto knocked out Mike Pyle very quickly in it was the last match on the Fight Pass show, which was Mike Pyle's retirement fight at the age of 42. He just got tagged. He was in tears after the match, thanking everyone, had a great time, loved the sport. So, that was that. So the first match on FS1 was really one of those weird fights. So CB Dollaway and Hector Lombard, and really kind of a boring first round. And CB Dollaway had won the round, and the horn sounded, and Hector Lombard threw two more punches. One was a shot that just right on his chin knocked him out. So Hector Lombard was disqualified for the late hit. It's the only thing you could do. He's acting like all confused, like the idea that, he thought he didn't do it. There's no defending. It was more than enough time after that thing. I mean, I remember watching it in real time going like, what the hell is this? And then when they showed it over and over and over again, you just kept getting that even more. It's like, it's just a dirty fighter, and he, he had to pay for it, which is sometimes I think kind of rare, in this situation. But Dollaway had no idea what happened. That's how knocked out he was. John Dodson and Pedro Munoz, split decision win for John Dodson, and came down to the third round, and Dodson was landing more. Munoz did take him down and get his back, but I think Dodson just connected more standing and won. Then I don't say a star-making performance, but Alexander Hernandez taking the fight out at late notice, shows up with Beneil Dariush. The first thing when they're going to, Dariush goes in there to shake hands. Hernandez runs across the ring with a front kick, which was a really kind of unsportsmanlike move. Then they settled down for a few seconds. Hernandez knocked him down with a left hook, and after a few punches on the ground, he was done. 42 seconds. Alexander Hernandez's debut, kind of a, Dariush is a good lightweight. So Hernandez is somebody, he definitely has some power. I mean, that was left hook was a strong left hook. And then Mackenzie Dern and Ashley Yoder. Mackenzie Dern won the fight. There was also on a split decision, but I guess at the very end she got to show her jiu-jitsu. I mean, she's great in jiu-jitsu, but the rest of her, she has some power when she stands up. Her technique is not good standing up at all. And Yoder had better technique, but Dern did hit her hard when she would connect with her, but she was just throwing. I mean, she was a better fighter, would have picked off Dern when she was throwing those wild punches for sure, but luckily for her that didn't happen. I would not say it was an impressive win. She did not come off like a new superstar or anything like that, like I think everyone hopes that she would be, but she got the win, and it was a fair win. So that was the story of that fight.
All right, let's do a couple of the mailbag questions here, and then wrap it up for today. This person says, Dave, I was aware that Eddie Graham committed suicide. Any backstory to this? I was always under the impression he was a very successful man.
Yeah, he committed suicide. I think it was the day of the Super Bowl in 1985. So, I mean, one of the things, the theory is that because it was the Super Bowl, it really didn't get a lot of publicity. I mean, it got some because in Tampa, not really anywhere else. But Eddie Graham was the guy who built Florida wrestling. When Eddie Graham was on when he wasn't drinking, which happened later, when he was really on his game, Florida was an incredible territory. If you look at like the Twitter, we'll always put, these cards up every day, and there's always, almost every day I'll put up some, this guy actually does it, and I'll retweet it, and it's these Florida shows. And I remember I would go there when I was growing up, because my grandmother lived within walking distance of the Miami Beach Convention Center, so I would walk to the shows on Wednesday nights. It was just every Wednesday night, freaking awesome wrestling. You got Eddie Graham had the kind of a show that I liked, in the sense that you would get the booking was, they booked the show very strong with the idea of suspension of disbelief, okay, in the sense that everything felt legit. Gordon Soley called it legit. The reactions of fans were like they were seeing legit, even though they knew better. The one negative I would always say about Eddie Graham is that there was way too many referee bumps, which is what influenced Patterson and all the guys that, when he was booking WWE, because he came from Roy Shire, who rarely did referee bumps. He would on occasion do them, but it wasn't like every single match. And Patterson from Florida just got the idea that like every main event, you do a referee bump and run in and blah, 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 and it just gets so freaking old. And with Eddie, I thought it got old, but Eddie had so much talent on the shows, and they would have the thing that was good is they would have different kind of matches. You would have really good technical matches underneath, and then you would have the big brawls, and Dusty or Jack Briscoe. He knew how to book a superhero. He knew how to get baby faces over. But as he got, he had a lot of demons and drinking, and I think that there was like some sort of a deal, some sort of a business deal that went south, and he was in a lot of trouble, and he killed himself. And I don't think that wrestling, like if this would have happened years earlier, Eddie Graham was such a powerful force. I mean, Eddie Graham was I don't, it's hard to say who was the most powerful guy in wrestling in the early 70s. Sam Mushnick, in theory, as the president of the National Wrestling Alliance, was the most powerful, but Eddie Graham was controlling that Southeast because, like, whether it was Crockett or, Barnett or whatever, I mean, Eddie Graham was kind of like the alpha male who kind of like, I don't say bossed everyone around, but he was the guy who he was the guy who, what he said, they all listened, so to speak. So he was but by 85, Florida was on its way down. It had been on its way down for years. A lot of the top guys, the Briscoes and Dusty, had all left for Crockett. Barry Windham was, up and down. They were, Florida was on its way down. It had been on its way down for years and years, really. So I can't say that like the history of wrestling changed. Florida went out of business pretty quick, and I think they were done by 87, but they were going to be anyway. I mean, that wasn't going to change. But Eddie he was only in his 50s when this happened, and then Mike committed suicide. Years and years later, which is just, I don't know. I think when one person in the family does it, it makes it easier for others. I mean, that's certainly what the Von Erich legacy always was. And so, yeah, that was. But Eddie Graham legitimately was a booking genius when he was on. And, I mean, he was the mentor for Dusty. He was the mentor for Bill Watts. I mean, they all learned from Eddie. He was, Kevin Sullivan. They all will tell you Eddie was the master booker. And I mean, I saw it firsthand. The TVs, the live shows, Florida, in that 1970 to 1976, 77 period, especially early 70s. I mean, that was one of the best territories, best periods ever, and just the way those cards were done, it was, just the way everything fit together and all that. It was a really, it's like you're studying under Eddie Graham would be studying under like a PhD when it comes to booking. I think one of the best bookers of all time. I would not say the best, but certainly one of them.
This person here says, if WWE moved over to Fox, how would that affect their relationship with ESPN?
I don't know that makes a big of a difference, but the Fox thing, there is so much to the Fox thing, so much to it. But it's good that they're in the game because stock's going to go up, their price is going to go up. Whoever gets it, whether it's USA or in Fox, if they can get that show on Monday night on Fox, I mean that is such a coup because, for one thing, one of the keys with Fox is that Fox is in a lot more homes than USA, probably 20% more homes. Maybe as many as 20%. So that would mean, like, if you're getting 3 million viewers, you should be immediately starting at 3.6 million viewers, and maybe more because you're talking about a higher, when you're a network, Fox is a higher rated network than USA. So really, you're probably talking about well over that, because when you're on a higher rated station, you're going to be up. It's just like when SmackDown moved from Sci-Fi to USA, the numbers went way up. I mean, whatever it was, like 700,000 viewers immediately. And going from USA to Fox, not just the number of homes, but the power of the station. I mean, you're talking about the number of people that will be viewing Raw will be, like the Raw 25th number would be probably a normal number. I mean, that's how big it would end up being. So SmackDown would take a hit going to FS1 for sure, and probably a pretty substantial hit because USA is so much bigger of a station than FS1. But I think they would gladly, and the SmackDown would very much be the B show. I mean, like it is now anyway, but it would really be the B show at that point. But you gladly take that for the increase in Raw versus the decrease in SmackDown. You would gladly take it because it's just still, and plus the prestige of being on the Fox network. That helps the company greatly. It gives them a credibility in mainstream culture of being primetime Fox. But the other flip side is that if they don't deliver good numbers on Fox, then like on USA or on FS1, they're kind of always going to be in that time slot because they're going to do better than anything else the station can do. But on Fox on Monday night, it's not a lock that they're going to do better than anything the station can do, and plus you got the low ad rates. But I guess at worst they would move them to FS1. But if they got both shows on FS1, the way the business is structured and everything like that, because of the rights fees, they'll be fine. But it will hurt. I mean, if everything's on FS1, but it probably won't start out that way. So there's a lot of decisions, and again, the whole television landscape is going to change by September 1999 anyway. So who knows? It's like I almost feel like all the talk this week about FS1 and Fox and everything like that. I almost feel like it's by the time we get there, everything's going to be so different, and who knows if we're ever going to get there. So it's like I really don't want to spend too much time thinking about it because it may not happen. But the potential is a big positive for WWE. And even if they don't end up there and they stay on USA but USA spends way more money, it's still great. It's still good for WWE. They still because that's number one revenue stream. I mean, like it's not the old days where the idea of use television to build pay-per-views and use television to build house shows. I mean, now it's you do house shows because you do them. And you don't do pay-per-views, you just put stuff on the network, and the network is what it is. The network is a certain number, and that number is really not changing hardly at all anymore. But the TV numbers, they go up every contract, and that's where all the profits come from. I mean, it is that is the business right now. So the timing's looking good for them right now. That's all I could say. And again, if UFC had been doing great numbers last year, if they had been doing 2016 numbers on Fox last year, I believe that Fox would have no interest in WWE because if you have UFC, you don't really need WWE. But with UFC declining and Fox not sure if they're going to keep UFC, if somebody will outbid them or whatever, all of a sudden, WWE to fill that UFC void. I mean, if you're going to fill a void for UFC, WWE is the way to go. And, again, and it would deliver a lot more eyeballs and help FS1 as far as a station goes. Not, you have the argument that it's not a sport and it shouldn't be there, but it's going to give them a whole lot of viewers.
Person wants to know if Destroyer ever had a single match in WWF.
I'd have to look that up. He wrestled in upstate New York all the time, but I don't know if it was ever the McMahon promotion, because upstate in New York was usually Pedro Martinez, and he worked there a million times. I would think that he did, just because of the proximity of Buffalo and Albany and these places. He's from Akron, New York. That you would think that he probably did, but I don't really I don't know because I don't remember. I'm pretty sure Dick Byron never wrestled in Madison Square Garden or anything like that. But did he ever wrestle like in a show? I don't know. I have to look it up. But he certainly was never famous there, or he was never a big star in WWF.
And finally, this person wants to know the length of Paul Heyman's contract. How long is he still signed for? What's his deal?
I don't know. I would think it's concurrent with Lesnar. So, but I don't know that 100%. But if Lesnar goes, I don't know. I don't know what happens to Paul. And, there's a good chance Lesnar's going. But, yeah, you would think that you would want to keep him. He's a really good talker.
I think a lot of people are asking if Lesnar goes, does he end up with Rousey?
I hope so, but my gut says no. My gut feels that he won't end up with Rousey, because I don't think that Stephanie wants Paul in that program. I don't, especially as a babyface. But I could be, it makes sense. It makes sense for him to be with Rousey. I'm sure he would love to do it, especially if he would get paid what he's getting paid now. Work with Rousey. I know on a personal level. I don't know how close they are, but I know he likes her, and I know that she respects him greatly. So they have that going for them. And, for her, again, if they want to make her the biggest star possible, I think he's the guy to be your mouthpiece. That would make her as big a star as she's going to be, whatever that ceiling is for her in this business. Paul will get her closer to that ceiling than no Paul will. I'm pretty sure of that.
All right, everybody. On that note, we're going to wrap it up for today. We got a lot of stuff up on the front page. New observers. We have back issues of the Observer. Obviously, a bunch of shows this weekend. I believe we hit 9,000 shows in the archive, so plenty of stuff to listen to there as well. Check out the front page, and that's it. We'll talk to you again after a while.